What is going on, guys? Union Arena HQ, Explosive Chris here. Coming at you with another deck profile. We're here with Zay from Union Arena HQ. Go ahead, introduce yourself. Don't be shy.
So I'm Zay. I played a 36-person side event with Purple Bleach, and I was able to win going 5-0, and I got this really cool winner card.
Let's see if we could get in on that. That's a beautiful card. Perfect. All right, and so let's get into the deck profile, guys. All right, Zay, go ahead. Take it away.
So I played 12-0, starting with Ichigo. This is a raid source. I also played Renji, and I played this as another raid source. It's also a 2000 body and an active trigger, so that's nice to have. And then I played Uryu as a draw trigger and a 15 body. I feel like 12-0 is the most consistent number. Some people play 11. I think the math is even, so that's pretty good. I also played Ichigo Kurosaki as my color. I like this build over the Byakuga version because it has more raid sources, and I'm playing a few techs to help speed up the deck. I really think the 5-drop Ichigo is really insane, and it just adds more removal to the deck. Now I also play Kisuke only for a double energy. It doesn't have a trigger, but being able to start your 3 AP turn out on 4 is really strong, sometimes 5, depending on how your setup is. If you see your opponent's playing a slower deck, you can choose to go 5 if you want, or you can choose to be a little more aggressive. And this deck plays on 4.5, so 5 sometimes, 4 other times. I also play 3 Ichigos for a double energy and a raid source. You can also have him in the front line, and when attacking he needs 1,000 to really help choke out some of those 4Ks that your opponent has on board, or just get extra chip damage in. No trigger, but just an essential card for a raid source and a double energy. Probably the least favorite card in the deck, but this card is Rukia. It's my least favorite just because I'm not really summoning it a lot, but it's there as a raid source and as a draw trigger. This card is really good because I really like this card. This is the first raid I'll be showing you. This is Rukia. Really the heart and soul of the deck, because this card is able to help you draw into your Getsugas, into your AP restands, and then really control the game from there. There's also one play where I needed an extra card in sideline, so I pitched a card off of her. Has a hidden effect that says you pitch a card, you give something 500 BP, and it gave me the card that I needed to trash a 4K. A lot of people don't know about the hidden effect, and then just having more, it just helps me do that more consistently. Playing 3 Renji. This is just a good card to force your opponent to block by making them double damage. It's also really good to have Raid on Life. Raid on Life is really strong, especially when you're removing a card. It really kind of pushes back some of your opponent's strongest plays. And then I only played 2 impact Ichigo, so that may be a little awkward, but a lot of times I feel like by the way I was playing, this was a finisher or just a card that I was okay with seeing and okay with not seeing. And then of course for the MVP, we have the 5-drop. This card is always live. This card allows me to be able to clear boards. I can kill 4K, I can kill 5K. It's just a really strong card, and being able to hit this off life as well is very important. I try to always set up my fields with each of the trios so I can always be live to raid off life. And now for a little spicy tech that I've been playing, Ichigo's Room. This card is really good. I sort of use this card to produce energy early, and it's a 2 cost, so it helps with consistency. And then when I get into maybe like a Bankai, or I get where I'm at 4 or 5 energy, I can sack this card off, be at 3 energy, and then draw into a Bankai or draw into a Getso or the raid that I'm looking for, put an extra 2 card in trash, this card and the card that I sent, and I can really extend my turns because then I'm at 3 energy. I can play a double energy or play at 4, and then that allows me to play free into extending with another Bankai or a Getsu trigger. So a lot of times, just because of how I'm playing the deck, I'm always having 2 of these whatever one, usually in my hand, because I'm drawing so many cards. And that's pretty much the deck. We also have a video where you can see me play this deck live. And yeah, so we can also have a more in-depth profile going over some of the technicals.
So go over what the deck wants to do. What is it that you're trying to do with the deck exactly?
So what I'm trying to do with this deck is really just have consistent 4Ks in the front line. Sometimes when you're playing rush decks, you don't always have that 4K DP. Sometimes you have small bodies, but when your opponent has to consistently deal with 4K after 4K after 4K, it can be a bit oppressive. But I also want to speed up the deck where I'm seeing my engine pieces fast. And one of the problems with the deck was that you really couldn't get consistent removal because you couldn't play your Ichigos and kill high body cards. A lot of times I played 3 mirrors, and each of the mirrors I had double the amount of cards in trash than they did. Whether I went first, second, didn't matter. And I was always, like I said, able to see a lot of these cards, basically drawing into them or being able to just have multiple removal on my opponent. So I want to be really aggressive. I want to be able to control the board, and I want to be able to have a setup where when we get to that mid game, I can really have a lot of cards that are really forcing my opponent to block or take an impact. Or I'm always trying to get the tempo on my opponent, where if they're getting 2 attacks a turn, I want to get 3. If they're getting 3, I want to get 4.
It's really good. All right, Zay, well, thank you so much. And as always, peace.